Remember the huge scandal between Jagmeet and Trudeau where they basically held hands and said fuck you to the Conservatives? Yeah, that. Jagmeet says that that's never going to happen again, but I don't really buy it. After all this sketchy shit that Trudeau's been a part of, nothing is off the table. And Jagmeet is literally hated by like everybody in Canada except for true communists. So he needs this partnership more than he's leading on he does. So let's break this down right now and see what the predictions are for the coming election year. Canada doesn't have a constitution. Okay, it actually does have a constitution. The Charter of Rights is part of that constitution, but it's not like an ironclad constitution like the Americans have, where there's checks and balances. There's processes that have to happen before other things happen. For example, Trudeau can just reign on forever. We don't have caps like we do in America where a president can only serve for 8 years for 2 consecutive terms. In Canada, Trudeau can be king. Literally forever. Now, that's just one small example. Actually, that's a pretty big example, but there's a lot of other things in our Constitution that aren't like America. Now, say what you will, America has a ton of problems as well, but their Constitution is long and lengthy and very well thought out. It is highly respected around the entire globe. The vast majority of countries around the world have modeled their constitution alongside of American, and almost everybody looks to America's constitution and goes, yeah, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty solid right there. Again, it's got its problems, but it's ironclad. As much as it can be anyway. And the reality is Canada is just a 3-star hotel with 5-star prices. Now, Canada used to be seen as a very stable place. It's why we have so many immigrants coming here. Now, they're being lied to by the marketing from the Canadian government about come to Canada. It's great. The Canadian dream is alive and well. You can buy a house. We have great healthcare, great infrastructure. Come on over. And when they get here, they're realizing that's a lie. We're seeing reverse immigration like we've never seen before. Immigrants coming here and leaving shortly after 6 months, a year, 2 years after because they were lied to. Life isn't easy here. It's hard. It's expensive. It's unstable. Now, the bedrock of Canada is that it's stable. It's sane. You know, the joke's always been that our cousin to the south, America, they're fucking crazy. But Canada up here, you know, we're normal. We don't have crazy gun violence. It's chill. Everybody's nice. It's affordable. Well, a lot of that is crime rates are rising, specifically violent crime rates. Everything is so unaffordable in numbers that are not seen in the US. The housing crisis here is legit a crisis. The housing crisis they talk about in the US is bullshit. It's not a crisis at all. Real estate is still affordable. There's so much more supply online. It's not like it is here. Now, let's break down what stability means. Number 1, freedom. Well, we're losing it by the day. We can't see the news we want to see online because of Bill C-11. We saw what happened with the truckers' protest. If you say anything against COVID-19 or against the government restrictions, you're going to get slapped. Your bank account's going to get frozen. You're going to be defamed. You'll potentially lose your job. You're going to be told that you're a nut job. And on the other side, if you're at the Palestine protest, you're being given coffee and donuts by the police officers. So fighting for freedom on one cause, being trampled by horses, and for fighting for another cause while causing blockades and disrupting the economy, you get coffee and donuts. Now, I'm not defending either protest. I'm just saying the priorities of freedom and how the police dictate freedom is very strange. Number 2, healthcare. Well, that's absolute shit in Canada. I don't have to go into it if you don't want me to, but I can go into it. I will go into it. Healthcare is so expensive in Canada. But Matt, it's free. Dude, nothing's free. You pay for it via your high taxes, extremely high taxes. And what you're getting for it is bullshit. People are waiting months and months and months for very important surgeries, for cancer treatments, a broken arm. You got to sit with your broken arm for potentially weeks or months on end. Yeah, we don't see that in America. Yeah, you got to pay for it. You got to pay for a healthcare plan. But you pay for a healthcare plan too in Canada. Like I said, you just don't see it. So you think it's free, but you're paying for a healthcare plan. I don't know about you, but I'd rather pay for my healthcare plan every single month and put it aside, but get in return extremely fast service. Now, I always talk about this example real quick, but when my son in Florida had a flu, had an earache, we went to a private clinic and I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to get thrown through the fucking ringer. Anyway, I was in and out in 10 minutes. I was seen by a doctor. My son was tested, proven he had an earache, proven he had a flu with a cheek swab or whatever the hell they did. We got medicine in hand, antibiotics, and super grade Advil or whatever it was. Went back home, gave him the medicine. Literally like an hour later, he's like a new kid. You know how kids are when they're sick. It's crazy. crazy. You just give them medicine and they're like popping off the walls. Anyway, we were seen immediately from a doctor. Yeah, I had to pay for it. Thankfully, my Amex Platinum business card paid for the whole thing. But anyway, I had to pay for it, but I got seen right away. Super great care. If that was in Canada, I would have waited hours and hours and hours in the emergency room because let's be real, a flu isn't really like life-threatening. So the doctors would push you at the bottom and you'd be not seen for hours and hours and hours. But when it's your baby at a year and a half old and they have a flu and an earache, it feels like they're dying. Okay, so we want to see a doctor immediately. I was thankful for the Florida clinic. That was awesome. Number 3, real estate. Okay, no surprise. Real estate in Canada is insanely high priced. Real estate in America is a joke. It is so cheap. I break it down all the time on my channel and on my Instagram specifically. I think the logo is right here. Check out that Instagram, man, because I post some cool stuff on there that I don't post here. But I'm constantly breaking down the difference between real estate in Canada and America, and it's so cheap. That's why we invest there. Number 4, cost of living. Food, clothes, gas, whatever is so expensive in Canada because of the carbon tax specifically, okay? In America, they don't have a carbon tax and it's a bigger economy. There's more stuff going on at scale. Prices are cheaper. I can tell you, we live in Florida for 4 to 5 months a year over the winter in our Florida home. Organic produce especially is way cheaper. Food is cheaper. Gas is obviously way cheaper. Even with the Canadian conversion, gas is still cheaper in America. It's amazing. Clothes, your services, like whatever you need. Building supplies, everything is way cheaper in America. Now, what we're seeing as a result from all of this, more people are struggling, more people are being educated, and because of online and YouTube videos, people have access to more research nowadays. They're seeing the difference of living in the States or other countries, and now Trudeau's polls are actually tanking horribly. Like right now, he's at the lowest polling I think he's ever been at. He's going to lose so bad. If an election were held tomorrow, Pierre Poilievre would have one of the biggest majority conservative governments since Stephen Harper. When he won, it was just like a world record, like landslide. Pierre Poilievre would actually have more. That's because of how unpopular Justin Trudeau is right now, how unpopular Jagmeet Singh is right now. Their seats are so low. Like the Liberal Party is almost getting into territory of being cut off. That's how low their seats are. They're going to lose ranking soon. Now, if Trudeau was a real leader, and it's being proposed already silently within his Liberal caucus, that he should probably resign and replace Trudeau with another Liberal leader. That's how bad his party is getting. And eventually, if it gets any worse, it's going to be real talk. They're going to have to say, dude, you're killing us. Like, you're killing the party. You're going to absolutely decimate us. You need to resign. We got to replace you with, I don't know, some other fucking moron. But we need a new face. We need a new face in there because people are hating your face. So this is good. We're getting somewhere. And guys, this is the pendulum. This is just how it works. It's nothing new. It's not that Trudeau is just a giant piece of shit, although he kind of is. It's not only that. It's just how politics works. He's been there too long. Historically in Canada, when a prime minister serves between 8 to 9 years, they always get kicked out. Almost no prime minister in Canada, from what I've looked at, has made it past 9 years. It's very rare. It almost never happens. And a lot of them get kicked out on the 9th year specifically. There's something magical about that 9th year. People are just sick of you. Okay, you've been in too long. It's like a decade. It's almost like half a generation. You got to go. It's just what happens. Although Trudeau's not helping himself with his horrible policies, his horrible stance on freedom, what he did in the COVID era, the pandemic era, I'm telling you, that hurt him so bad. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was going to get more liberal voters. He alienated so many independent voters. He flipped once liberal voters, and he pissed off the conservative voters so much. That fire built up is insane, and I am one of them. I used to be an independent voter. I was independent. Sometimes I voted right. Sometimes I voted liberal. I will admit on this channel, I did vote for Trudeau back in 2015. I was like 22 years old. You know, you tend to be a little more liberal when you're younger. It happened. Not anymore. So I am an independent. I can go either way. I'm not super like right-wing like you might think I am or whatever. I'm economically very conservative, but morally and moral policies, I tend to be pretty liberal. Although economically and financially, it moves me a lot more. I tend to go more right, obviously, because I'm very involved in the economics. I think that's the most important thing for our country. The economy's got to be good. People got to be getting ahead and feeling good about life. The economy and money, monetary policy, fiscal policy is very important. But I also like moral policies. But just saying. But anyway, he's totally losing independent voters. His polls are absolutely shit. The Jagmeet coalition he's got going on it's not looking good. Jagmeet has already said, I think at the end of this year, that coalition is going to end and he's never going to do it again because it's hurting his party as well. His party is like, Jagmeet, you being like this with Trudeau, it's hurting us. You got to stop it or else we're going to replace you. Lots of talks going on. Remember, politics is just business. It's marketing. The marketing is not good right now for Trudeau. We got to get you out. We need a new CEO in a sense. That's how it works. We need a new face of the business. People aren't liking your face. Now, it's not helping as well that Canada, let's be real, is basically owned by the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. He's great buddies with Trudeau. We know all the policies and the woke agenda. We're not going to get into that, but you know what I'm talking about. In school specifically, the pandemic stuff, the pandemic response, like, okay, all that stuff is just so WEF. Like, we know that. So the only thing that scares me about that is that ain't going away anytime soon. It's not going away with just a quick election either. The battle's not going to be so easy is what I'm trying to say. So you got to take care of your own life yourself. And the only way you can take care of your life, honestly, on your terms, I'm being real here, is to have money, is to have wealth. So you can escape whenever you want. During the crazy lockdowns of the pandemic, when it really got crazy, okay, I left and went to Florida. I took my family, my son, my young son at that time was 8 months old, I think it was. We got in the car, we locked down the house, got the fuck out of here, and I lived in Florida for like 4 months and came back to Canada when the lockdowns lifted. Okay, and I can tell you that life was so weird in the US, especially Florida. As soon as we got there, I'm telling you, and I already knew all this stuff. Me being like, more right wing on this and fucking hated Trudeau so bad. Like, I'll be honest, at that time, my mental health was like the worst. I was so fucking enraged because I'm a freedom lover. That's what I do. That's why I do all this. If I do real estate, it's for freedom. And he got in my fucking way for freedom. Dude, I was livid. Like, I had to leave for my own safety of having a heart attack. I had to get the fuck out of this country. But when we drove down to Florida, I'm telling you, dude, it was like a movie. Canada was so locked down. Everybody was so depressed. You couldn't go to a restaurant unless you had a vax pass. Couldn't go to a home theater. Like, the all-time low of mental health in Canada at that point was insane. We go to Florida, everybody's out and about, running around on the beach, walking their dog. Restaurants are fucking packed. And I already knew all this. I was watching the videos. That's why I went to Florida. But it's one thing to see it on a TikTok. And then when you drive through the city, we were walking around Miami downtown. Everybody's happy. There's people everywhere. But at home, they were told, if you fucking go see your grandma, you're going to kill her. COVID is spreading like crazy. People are dying everywhere. Don't leave your house. Meanwhile, again, it's one thing to hear the lies and understand it in your brain and go, well, that's bullshit. I'm seeing the data from the CDC. I can see that's bullshit. Only people dying really are elderly people with 2 or 4 comorbidities. They're the ones, not the 35-year-old with no comorbidities. It's a lie. It's one thing to see all that with the data in your brain, but to go see it with your eyes, I'm telling you, I'll never forget the feeling. I'll never forget the feeling of seeing the lie. It was like a fucking X-Files episode, and I will never, ever, ever forgive Trudeau, forgive Canada for what they did to our people. I swear to God, I'm not trying to be like some Braveheart motherfucker here, but even if Pierre Poilievre comes in, that's fantastic. I'm going to feel great. I will never, ever, ever forgive Canada for what they did. I'm done with Canada. Fuck you. I'm sick of Canada. But anyway, all to say after my rant is the puppet masters are at work. This is what they want. This is what the World Economic wants. It's getting a little conspiracy. I don't really believe in conspiracies. I like to hear them. They're fun. At the end of the day, what I do is, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But honestly, what I care about is freedom. And the only way to get it is to have money so you can pick up and leave whenever you want. If shit gets too crazy in Canada, no problem. I'll sell the house, seal it up, I'll leave. I got money. I can last for years and years and years because of my real estate business, because of my other businesses and my investments. I don't need Trudeau. I don't need Pierre Poilievre. I don't need Donald Trump. I don't need Joe Biden. I'd rather some of those people get in versus others. Cool. It doesn't matter. I care about me, dude. I lead my family. I lead my life. I don't wait for Trudeau. I don't wait for Pierre. I don't wait for Trump. I wait for me. So the only way to get yourself to a point where you're truly leading your life, you got to build your wealth. You got to invest. You have to understand how the world turns, how money works, how compound growth works. You got to learn how to read stock charts so you can see what's coming up in the world, what's happening with inflation, CPI. You got to know all these things. You have to know all these things, okay? As a man, let's just say, maybe you find it important to know how to change a tire, how to cook a meal, how to change a carburetor in your car, how to build a house, whatever. These are all typically important male characteristics, okay? We'll just put it like that. But we're not taught about money. We're not taught about financial wealth and how to read stock. Dude, we don't get taught that stuff in school. And that's on purpose. That's on purpose. They don't want you to know that stuff. Why? You can't have too many rich people. You can't have everybody be wealthy and running businesses. You need worker bees. You don't have to be a worker bee. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, subscribe to this channel to not be a worker bee. And if you want to get your money out of Canada like I do, there's a free course below here, how to invest in the USA. If you're Canadian, wanting to invest in real estate, but it's too hard, I hear you. That's why I'm investing in the US with all of my partners. In that course, I'm going to teach you everything about how to invest in the US as a Canadian citizen. It's way easier than you think. I promise you. Check that out. Anyway, I've been ranting for a long time. I'll see you in the next rant.